Constellation Leo. What? Well, the Persians called it Sur or Shur, the Turks Artan, the Syrians called it Aryo, the Jews called it Arya, the Indians Simba. It all meaning lion. There's even archaeological evidence that shows that the Mesopotamians had Leo as a constellation as early as 4000 BCE. It's the fifth largest in the northern hemisphere, and the star pattern really closely resembles a crouching lion. So it's no surprise that many civilizations had a similar name for this constellation. It was first catalogued by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in the 2nd century. It's also one of the zodiacal constellations. According to in the Greek mythology, it is most closely associated with the story of the Nemean lion and Heracles, which the Nemean lion was slayed by Heracles as part of as one of his first of the 12 labors. According to the legend, the lion was a vicious monster whose claws were sharper than mortal swords and could cut through any armor. And it could not be killed with mortal's weapons because its golden fur was impervious to attack. But Heracles was no mere mortal. He managed the impossible. He stunned the beast with the club and then strangled it with his bare hands. Upon advice from Athena, he used one of lion's own claws to skin its pelt, which he then wore to protect himself against the elements and the weapons. So that's the Greek myth of the lion, the Leo in the sky. But the most important question is how to find Leo in the sky. And if you're an amateur, if you're a first-time observer, the sky is just full of dots and it makes no rhyme or reason. But if you find a good starting point, if you find a good pointer constellation, then you can find many things from it. And the most important constellation, I would say, or in this case, it's actually asterism, is the Plow. The Plow is quite straight above you, more or less. And it's an asterism, which means it's part of a bigger constellation of Ursa Major, the Big Bear. And you can use it for many things. The first thing I learned in astronomy was how to use Plow to find the Northern Star. The Northern Star is, if you use these two stars, the rightmost stars of the Plow, and take 5 times the distance between them and go up, you will find the Northern Star, Polaris. And one extra hint is if you find Polaris, you've also found the Little Bear, because Polaris is actually the tip of the Little Bear's tail. So the one thing about Polaris is the Northern Star is it's not the brightest in the sky. It's actually only about 50th brightest in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's not famous for its brightness, but it's famous for something else. And because it stays put in the night sky as the night progresses, and every other star circles around it. So this is why the North Star is important, not because it was the brightest. So that's, once we come back to the Plow, we'll now try to find the Leo constellation. So if you go to the left-hand side of the Plow and use the other 2 pointer stars and point downwards with it, you will find Regulus. Regulus is the brightest star of the Leo constellation, and it's the base of another asterism, another very well-known asterism called the Sickle. and you can recognize it as a mirror image of a question mark. And it's important because this constitutes the head and the chest of the lion, and the other three stars will constitute its body. So we have the sickle is the hallmark of the Leo constellation, and like you see, it does resemble its live art, kind of its artistic impression of the Leo. And here, just for, as we were looking at them earlier, here's the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. So that's it about how to find Leo. But what can you see in Leo? Leo has many bright stars, loads of them that were already identified by the ancients. You can see a lot of them will start with an al, which would show its Arabic derivation. The brightest star in the constellation is Regulus. It's or called also Alpha Leonis. It's a magnitude 1 star, and it's 79 light years away. Regulus appears as a single star, but it's actually a quadruple star system. Its traditional name is Regulus or Rex, and it means little king. It was also known as Kab al-Assad, the heart of the lion. In Babylonian, it was called Sharu, the king. In India, it was known as Magda, the mighty. In Sogdia, Mag, the great. And in Persia, Mian, the center. So it is a harbinger of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. It creeps higher in the sky with each passing day in March and April. And by May, it's very brilliant blue star and is quite conspicuous in the evening star. So the second brightest star, Beta Leonis, also called the nebula, is at the opposite end of the constellation to Regulus. It's a blue-white star of magnitude 2 and only 36 light years away from the Earth. Because it marks the tail of the lion, the lion's tail, it actually, that's what it means. Deneb al-Assad is Arabic, and it's short for the tail of the lion. And some of the astronomers in the myths here will recognize Deneb as a star, which would be part of the swan constellation, and it denotes the tail of the swan. That's where it comes from, the stem of the word. So the third the third brightest star is Gamma Leonis or Algeba, and it's a double star with an optical component, and the primary is gold yellow giant star of magnitude 2.6, and it's 126 light years away. Its traditional name, Algeba, means the forehead. And we can't speak about Leo without mentioning some deep sky objects in Leo. And if you look under the Chertan star, just a bit to the left, you will find the Leo triplet. It's a prominent deep sky object in Leo. It's a group of 3 spiral galaxies, about 35 million light years away. It consists of M65, M66, and NGC 3628. And they are often observed and photographed in a single field of view. Each one of the galaxies is tilted at a different angle, making them all appear quite different from each other from our vantage point. M65 and M66 are both angled so that we can see their beautiful spiral structure. And the NGC 3628, also called a hamburger galaxy, is seen edge on, and with the dark dust lanes that obscure the bright core of the galaxy. You can see it does look like a patty, doesn't it? Making me hungry. By sheer coincidence, at the moment, there's the traveling across the Leo is the asteroid Vesta. Vesta is the second largest asteroid of our solar system. It's just there in the body of Leo, and it's more than its diameter is 525 kilometers, and it's more than 3 times smaller than our own moon. It takes 1,325 days to circle the sun and is nestled between the orbits of Mars and Ceres, which is the biggest. It's a dwarf planet, in fact. Vesta is the brightest asteroid visible from Earth, and it's regularly as bright as magnitude 5.1, which makes it a faintly visible object by the naked eye. So if you're in a really, really dark sky, you might be able to see a little faint dot just there now. It was discovered in 1807, and it was named after Vesta, the Virgin Goddess of home and hearth. Now, these are the few facts that I wanted to share with you today about Leo. I hope that you found them interesting. Thank you very much for listening.